Ladies and gentlemen, we now continue a discussion on the cutting-edge medical advancements in aging biology, regenerative therapies, and disease prevention. And for this, please do welcome to the stage Dr. Nicole Sirotin, CEO of the Institute for Healthier Living Abu Dhabi, Dr. Hinda Daggag, Executive Director of Longevity at PureHealth, Dr. Nina Tandon, CEO of EpiBone USA, Dr. Anna Baroni, Chief Science Officer at LongevityTech.fund USA, and of course your moderator, Dr. Yazan Aljabery, cardiac surgery consultant and assistant professor of surgery at Cleveland, Abu Dhabi. Please put your hands together as we welcome them to the stage.
Wow. Thanks for having us here. Thanks for the introduction. You saved me an opening. So thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. Thanks for attending this amazing talk that we're going to start soon. And I'm going to start by saying that we're entering an era where the limits of human life are no longer defined by biology. And no nation is daring to reshape that destiny more boldly than the UAE. Today, we meet the pioneers, imagining a world where aging can be paused, bodies can regenerate, and longevity becomes a defining power of our future. It's my pleasure to have you guys here. Thanks for coming. And I'm going to start with Dr. Nicole. Dr. Nicole, at the Institute of Healthier Living, which you're leading, how is advancing holistic models that combine data, behavior change, and clinical innovation is used to extend both lifespan and health span?
Thank you very much, and thank you for the organizers for this panel and for my fellow panelists. I'm excited about our conversation. At the Institute for Healthier Living Abu Dhabi, we're really combining the best of clinical research with clinical care and innovation. And we have built what I call an AI engine, right? We have the ability to take data on many, many people and translate that into insights into what you might need as an individual. And the way we do that is to be able to help understand all of the thousands of data points that we might be capturing on you when you come in as a patient. Why is this important? Because we have to be able to take that information, help you understand your risk of disease, and then put together a plan that will help change that risk. Now, the plan part is the human part, right? We all understand ways that we have tried to approach a problem. Okay, I need to exercise more. I need to meditate more. I need to stress less or differently. How do we actually do that, right? And part of the beautiful, I think, human condition is that we need both. We need the technology. We need to be able to understand all of the insights that are there from your genetic testing and your functional movements and your VO2 max and all of the things that we know have real impacts on your health. And at the same time, we have to do something with that information. And so we're combining the best of health coaching and a multidisciplinary team with that technology to actually bring the insights and then take people through an individualized plan that actually helps them action those insights. And that's where we feel like we can help people the most.
The human factor, a very important point that you've mentioned, and compliance and education. These are two major factors that play a role in their prognosis. And then moving to Dr. Hinda. PureHealth has made longevity a national priority. How is the UAE integrating cutting-edge science, AI, and public health policy to build a population-level model for longer, healthier living?
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. And, I'm not sure if I have a lot to add to what Dr. Nicole has already mentioned, because obviously we are all here with the same purpose, right? But I think maybe the starting point before we talk about PureHealth, and how PureHealth are tackling this space is to say that we are really in line or aligned with the national strategy, which is, I think, a very, very important or the crucial aspect of this conversation, right? This is the foundation, the fact that we've heard earlier, I think this morning it was Shaista, it was Dr. Fatma Al-Kaabi talking about the national strategy for well-being, and this is our basis. Then if we zoom in even more, if we look at the landscape of Abu Dhabi, or what the government of Abu Dhabi and the Department of Health are doing here, whether it's the declaration on longevity that was launched, I believe, last year, whether it's the actual framework for the Longevity Medicine Center, so the regulatory framework and the licensing framework, which is the first in the world, really. It is really, really important to note these things, because once you have that in place, then we can come in, right, and build on that. And I think that's now where the likes of, PureHealth, obviously, and other institutions, whether it's the Institute for Healthier Living or, others that are in this space, come in. With PureHealth, I think, we can, if we think about the strategic approach of what are the elements that we need here, obviously we need the evidence-based science, innovation. This is it's I think like the staples, right, of this field. On top of that, we've also heard a lot about AI. We've heard about data, so the AI-enabled platforms. And one of them, for PureHealth, it's Pura, which is sort of like your digital companion, where you can really bring all of that data together. As Dr. Nicole said, we are collecting so many different parameters. We are doing so many functional tests, imaging, diagnostics, but sort of bringing it all together and translating it into very personalized, tailored insights requires these digital platforms. So PureHealth has Pura for that. And I think, obviously, as you mentioned, it's the education part. How do we actually raise the awareness when we talk about, I don't want to say just longevity, but even health in general, right? And how do we move into that more proactive rather than reactive healthcare space?
Well, thank you so much. The keynote here, or the key point, I think talking about prevention and having a government that walks the walk, not just talks the talk, is a very, very important part. The UAE government has been leading this and has been one. We were actually just talking about this in the backstage, how the support in this country and how the push towards a healthier living is not just a title, it's actually on the ground, and it has been proven year after year. We move to Dr. Nina after that. Yeah. Dr. Nina, EpiBone's work in stem cell-based tissue regeneration is pioneering the concept of healing from within. What have been the biggest lessons from bringing personalized regenerative therapies from lab to clinic, and how do you see this shaping the future of longevity medicine?
Thank you, and thank you for this opportunity. It's music to my ears to hear things like science needs to lead the way, and we have a government here that is leading the world. And I think, I'm from the United States. I did my training in the U.S. at, MIT and Columbia, and spun out EpiBone from Columbia University 11 years ago. We make living bone, lab-grown bone and cartilage from mesenchymal stem cells, either derived from patients or from donors. So this is a very deep tech, science, business, and I was first brought to the UAE back in 2016 for, festivals. But really things started to change in 2019 when I first was invited to speak at the Majlis and met Dr. Nicole. And it happened right before COVID, which was a key moment, I think, for the entire world, but especially here. We saw so much leapfrogging in terms of use of digital health tools, and I think the world's eyes were really open to what could happen around the world globally with different approaches to health. And there's been a real surge in medical tourism that has kind of coincided with this post-COVID era. And that's what we wanted to be a part of. So we were in the United States, we made history, we make living bone and cartilage from stem cells, and we had completed a first-in-human clinical trial replacing jaw bones in patients who, whether for cancer, trauma, or congenital defect, needed new jaw bones. And the bones fit perfectly, no adverse events. This is tissue engineering 101. But we were very far from being able to commercialize in the US, 5 to 7 years. And so we scoured the world looking for the right combination of forward-thinking regulatory policies as well as established healthcare systems, ideally global, with global alliances. And we narrowed it down to, not surprisingly, Singapore and Abu Dhabi. But guess what? We moved here last year when Hub 71 invited us to be part of their 15th cohort. And what I'm so excited about is that we are starting to see, Dr. Sharouk, who you'll be hearing from later, is one of our mentors at Hub 71 and helped us shape our platform for growing bone and cartilage towards a very important longevity market here in the UAE, which is osteoporosis. So we're really excited to be able to fit in with a national priority here, which happens to be a national priority for us at home, but we don't necessarily think the same way back in the States. So it's very refreshing to be in a place where that exists, where that ecosystem exists. Now, I will say, in longevity, one of the biggest lessons learned for me is that the patients are funding the pipeline. We are seeing billionaires and sovereigns taking the lead. They have the capital, they have the patience to really make these holistic, kind of sometimes difficult investment decisions that are good holistically for population health and longevity.
So 2019 and 2020, that was the beginning of the COVID crisis, where everybody was just worried about staying alive. And you guys were innovating, and you actually came to the UAE, and you found someone who actually adopted this way of thinking and moved from a crisis mode thinking into how can we develop and how can we live longer. That's amazing.
Well, one of our mottos is never let a good crisis go to waste. And there's always opportunity, and most unicorns are born in downturns. So it's, I think it's really important when things are breaking down to see what can we use from this, what can we learn. And I'm so excited with what we found here in the collaborations we've built so far.
I can't agree more. Thank you so much. And then last but not least, Dr. Anna, from an investment and a science perspective, where do you see the most promising breakthroughs emerging in the longevity space? And how can funding models accelerate the translation of research into real-world impact?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to meet the panel. We have met in several meetings before. So there are several promising developments in the space. I will focus in just 3 because of time. We didn't have more. The main goals could be epigenetic reprogramming to move forward in extracellular matrix rejuvenation, and as they mentioned, AI platforms or enabled by AI. To understand this choice, we have to consider that the body is just 20% cells, but the aging process happens also in the other 80%. So effective interventions need to address the aging process in both parties, while epigenetic reprogramming resets the gene expression. Some small molecules can target the extracellular matrix and also rejuvenate the aging phenotypes in the other 80% of the body. And the other technology we mentioned, platforms assisted by AI, they integrate data and allow us to scale precision medicine that cannot be done just with human power, and also accelerate the drug discovery pipeline. We were used to explore thousands of molecules, and currently we can make a screening in billions of different molecules, and among them, there are protectors. Regarding, yes, about models to finance. The challenge is not the science, but the gap, the translational gap. And to reduce that, there are some models like partnership between public and private, merging VC funds with public grants, or milestone drive deployment of money to the risk, the investment for early stages, and also maybe using health span biomarkers, not conventional endpoints to deploy money. At LongevityTech.fund, we have seen that lots of conventional VCs struggle with the average timeline of 10 to 20 years to track interventions started in health span. So hopefully with technology, we can reduce this gap and make it happen.
I hope so. Epigenetics, a very big title that everybody has been talking, and it's becoming more and more of a trend, because until very recently, we have all been thinking that once you're genetically determined, then forever you're genetically, once you have the genes, then you will forever have the genes. Now the epigenetics came as a new factor and a key player in this mode, which I don't think we have the time to discuss more about it, but it is a very interesting era that we live in. Of course, driven by AI, by information, by database, and by personalization. That's where we are not just going, we're living that moment now, and we are living that transformation. So I have just one last question that I would like you to answer in one word. Okay? That's always an interesting thing. It is the following. In one word, what is the single force that will define the future of human longevity in your eyes? I'll start with you, Dr. Nicole.
One word?
Yes.
Man, I thought we would at least get 30 seconds. I think if I had to choose one word, I'd have to say AI.
AI.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I think it would have to be, I'm going to use the word holistic meaning
approach.
Definitely putting together
Yeah.
few elements, yes.
Nice one.
Because this is only one word, and you have both spoken really important ones, I'm going to have to just go philosophical, because I agree with AI and I agree with holistic, and I think what we need is something above that, which is maybe consciousness. We need to have the presence of mind to bring these...
One word.
Yeah.
The human factor.
One word.
The human
Consciousness.
factor, consciousness. Okay. Anna.
I agree with all of you, and I think AI and holistic somehow is the same. Maybe more technical can be multi-omics data integration with other things and tracking, but not AI driven the decisions as a copilot at the most.
So AI.
AI. Well, it's the worst.
It is, but I cheated a little
Can
bit
I
there.
update mine to wisdom? I think that's what I meant more.
Wisdom. That's a good one too. Wisdom and consciousness. Well, that way we conclude our session for today. Thank you all for being here. If you guys have any questions, the panelists will be on the side and around. You can ask them your questions anytime and they'll be open for it.
Thank you very much.